They said the cold would be the hardest part of this mission. They were wrong. The rattling metal of the cargo plane's belly is a constant, grating lullaby. We're all crammed in, a tight knot of the valiant guard's finest, every one of us hand-picked for this, whatever this is. My breath plumes in the frigid air, a stark white testament to the unforgiving chill already seeping into the cabin. There's Rook Reyes, our demolitions expert, leaning against the curved hull. He's got that perpetual grin, his jokes echoing hollowly against the metallic skin of the beast carrying us. Commander Valerius, our tactical officer, is trying to mask her anxiety with a forced smile and a shake of her head at Rook's antics, but I see the subtle tension in her jaw. Beside me, Dr. Aris Thorne, our medic, my brother. Aris offers a weary nod. His eyes, usually bright with a quiet curiosity, are shadowed, distant, already weighing the unknown ahead. Around us, 24 other guard operatives sit in hushed anticipation, their gear a clatter of suppressed readiness. The pilot's voice crackles over the intercom, a sudden invasion of the tense quiet. ETA 15 minutes. Prepare for landing. Valerius clears her throat, the small sound cutting through the low hum of the engines. She pulls herself to her full height, her gloved hand tightening around the central support pole. Her voice, usually crisp, now holds a steely edge that makes me straighten up. "Listen up, everyone," she begins, her gaze sweeping over each of our faces, locking onto us one by one. Our objective is straightforward. We've been called to an isolated research facility deep in the Alaskan wilderness. Command Nexus hasn't given us much beyond that, but they've stressed one thing: biohazard containment. She pauses, letting the word biohazard hang in the frigid air like a death knell. We're going in blind. Our primary goal is to assess the situation, neutralize whatever threat is present, secure the compound, and extract any surviving personnel if possible. Rook, who's been half listening, raises an eyebrow, a familiar smirk playing on his lips. "Just another Tuesday, huh, Commander?" Valerius throws him a stern glance, but her eyes betray a flicker of something unsettling. "This is serious, Sergeant. This isn't some training exercise. Whatever happened at this facility was catastrophic enough to completely sever it from the outside world. No transmissions, no distress calls, just silence. The cargo plane shudders with a sudden burst of turbulence, a physical echo of the mounting tension in the cabin. My stomach lurches, but Valerius's voice remains steady, cutting through the rising unease. "Remember, we stick together. Keep your heads on a swivel and your radios open. We don't know what we're walking into, but we have each other's backs. That's how we get through this." Moments later, the harsh grinding of the cargo door opening assaults my ears, revealing a stark, isolated Alaskan landscape. The wind howls, tearing at our gear, a brutal welcome to this god-forsaken place. In the biting distance, the research facility looms, a dark, imposing silhouette against the pale, unforgiving sky. It's a monolith of steel and concrete, a stark industrial scar on the pristine white canvas of the wilderness. Multiple interconnected buildings spread out like skeletal limbs from a central, towering structure, housing what I presume are labs, offices, and living quarters. The entire compound is encased within a high perimeter fence, topped with glinting barbed wire. Beyond its confines, the snow stretches endlessly, undisturbed save for the faint, shadowy outline of a distant forest. Under Valerius's lead, we move cautiously, every sense alert for danger. The bitter wind whips at my face, stinging my exposed skin. "Eyes peeled, everyone," Valerius warns, her voice a low murmur against the wind's roar. "This place is a ghost town. The moment we breach the outer fence and step inside the primary building, the contrast with the harsh wilderness outside is jarring. It's an expanse of sterile white walls and cold steel, the air stale and frost-kissed, thick with the faint, unsettling scent of ozone and something else, something indescribably wrong. Fluorescent lights hum above, some flickering erratically, casting long, unsettling shadows that dance with every gust of wind pushing through unseen cracks. The corridors are a dizzying maze, each section a carbon copy of the last. Cold steel tables, high-tech equipment now lying dormant, whiteboards filled with complex equations and diagrams. There are clear signs of hurried abandonment: overturned chairs, papers strewn across floors, coffee mugs left half-drunk, their contents frozen solid. The first room we enter is clearly a lab. Screens display magnified images of cells, now frozen in unsettling stills. Petri dishes, microscopes, and arrays of biomedical tools are scattered across tables, some knocked over in what must have been a frantic escape. Hastily scribbled notes and printouts with highlighted sentences lie scattered like fallen leaves. A recreation room follows, a chilling tableau of interrupted leisure. Abandoned board games lie half-played, unread books rest open on tables. A forgotten mug of coffee, a thin layer of ice on its surface, sits at a corner table, a poignant symbol of life abruptly halted. The silence in here is profound, almost deafening, broken only by the crunch of our boots on the frost-dusted floor. We then enter what appears to be the main control room. Surveillance footage flickers across multiple screens, showing various parts of the facility. Most displays are as deserted as the rooms we've traversed. Some screens, however, show security doors marked "Quarantine," still sealed shut, ominous red lights blinking above them. My breath hitches in my throat as I consider what horrors might be locked behind those impenetrable barriers. Each door we pass is heavy, reinforced, bearing various hazard and biohazard signs. Some rooms are sealed entirely, marked with stark warning labels like contamination or restricted access. We find ourselves in what looks like a common area or break room. There's an uncanny stillness here, the uneaten food on the tables frozen in time, a thin layer of frost covering everything. It's as if life simply stopped mid-breath. Personal items lie scattered around: a scarf, a well-worn paperback, a pair of reading glasses. The air is so heavy with dread, the silence so profound it's almost deafening. As we move deeper into the facility, the sense of unease only deepens, a cold knot tightening in my gut. The mystery of what occurred here hangs heavy, suffocating. The silence is punctuated only by our cautious footfalls and the occasional creak of the building settling in the relentless cold. Suddenly, the unsettling silence is shattered by the faint creak of a distant door. My hands instinctively tighten around my rifle's grip, my training and instinct kicking in. We move as one, a silent phalanx, towards the sound. The door swings open, revealing a room that was once a researcher's office. The faint light from the corridor spills into a scene of disarray. Papers covered in hastily scribbled notes and complex diagrams are strewn haphazardly across a metal desk. A desktop computer flickers erratically in the corner, the green glow of its monitor casting an eerie, sickly light across the room. "Thorne, see what you can dig up on that computer," Valerius orders me, her steely gaze sweeping the room, her senses attuned to any potential danger. "Copy that," I respond, sliding into the swivel chair in front of the machine. The keyboard is cold under my fingertips, and the erratic pulse of the screen paints my face in that same sickly green light. A chill runs down my spine, a feeling of deep unease settling deep within my bones. It's not the biting Alaskan cold that brings this on. It's the undeniable sensation that we are stepping into the aftermath of something truly dreadful. "Any leads, Aris?" Rook asks, his voice piercing the buzzing silence. He nods towards my brother, who's engrossed in a research report he'd picked up from the mess on the desk. Aris glances up, adjusting his glasses. "Nothing concrete yet," he replies, his brow furrowing as he squints at the complicated jargon and diagrams. "It's high-end bioresearch, advanced cellular biology. It'll take some time to decipher this. Let's just say we're definitely not dealing with a common flu outbreak." His attempt at humor falls flat, swallowed by the oppressive atmosphere of the room. The grim reality of our mission truly begins to dawn. This is more than just a containment operation. Valerius finally breaks the silence. "We can't stay here," she states, her eyes scanning each of our faces. "We need to keep moving. Rook grunts in agreement, straightening up from where he'd been leaning against the cold metal of a lab table. She's right. We've got a lot more ground to cover. I nod. Let's press on. As a group, we exit the lab, stepping once more into the desolate corridors of the facility. The labyrinthine corridors of the facility seem to close in around us as we venture deeper. I find myself in what appears to be the central lab, surrounded by complex machinery and scientific instruments. Among the clutter, a terminal flickers dimly. On its screen, a confusing mix of codes, snippets of chat logs, and complex biochemical algorithms stare back at us. It's a jumble of scientific data, but beneath the layers of complexity, a terrifying truth begins to unravel. Valerius's gaze is fixed on the screen as I navigate the files. She understands the gravity of what we're uncovering. Aris, though engrossed in his examination of a particularly strange petri dish, glances occasionally in our direction, a worried frown on his face. I pull up a document titled Project Chimera. I take a deep, shuddering breath, steeling myself before I begin reading aloud. The document, Project Chimera, I begin, my voice echoing in the cold room, began as a program to explore induced genetic mutations and pathogenic controls. The aim was to engineer an organism for defensive purposes, a tool for infiltrating and incapacitating enemy systems. I pause for a moment, letting the chilling information sink in before I continue. However, Chimera surpassed our control. Its rapid evolution morphed it from a tool into a sentient predator. Its intelligence is unprecedented in artificial organisms. It displays problem-solving skills, adaptability, and a capability to learn. Its cognitive processing surpassed our initial objectives. The room feels colder as I relay the details, the words themselves a physical weight in the air. The chimera is a parasitic organism. It invades host bodies, assumes control, and reproduces within them. The host maintains its basic functions, making it challenging to identify an infection. I glance at the faces around me. Tight lines, narrowed eyes, lips pressed into grim lines. No one speaks. I press on. Infection occurs through contact with chimera's microscopic larvae, or what the scientists termed glimmers. They are almost invisible, a faint shimmer on the surface of an infected host or in the air. Once inside a host, the chimera takes root within hours, hijacking the host's nervous system. The host becomes a puppet, its actions directed by the chimera. A heavy silence follows as I pause before reading out the last and perhaps the most horrifying part. Chimera doesn't just infect, it assimilates and manipulates, incorporating the host into its collective consciousness. When mature, the organism releases a swarm of new glimmers by literally bursting from the host, discarding the empty shell. When I finish, the silence in the room is deafening. The eerie hum of the computer, the only sound, seems to intensify, pressing in on us. The terminal blinks and a video file opens, its play button pulsating ominously. With a glance at the others, I hit play. The video starts with a time stamp in the corner, dated approximately 2 months ago. A man appears on the screen, his face pale, eyes shadowed, the signs of sleep deprivation etched deeply into his features. Log 457, Project Chimera, he begins, his voice hoarse and weary. We've made significant progress, but not as we anticipated. He steps aside, revealing a large containment tank behind him. The camera zooms in, capturing the chimera in action. At first glance, it looks like a mere blur of motion, a swirling mass of shadowy tendrils and shifting light. But then I realize what we're witnessing. The organism is moving, its form changing and pulsating, growing before our very eyes. It's disturbing, alien, and horrifyingly fascinating all at once. The chimera is demonstrating an alarming rate of evolution. The scientist continues, his voice trembling slightly. Its adaptability is unlike anything we've ever seen. It's learning at an exponential rate. He pauses, looking directly into the camera, his eyes wide with a dawning horror. But it's not just learning, it's adapting, changing us. Suddenly, the containment tank behind him shatters. The chimera, once a contained mass, has grown, its shadowy form spilling over the broken glass, tendrils reaching for the camera. His face drains of color, eyes wide in abject terror. "We've lost control," he whispers, his voice barely audible. Before the video ends abruptly, a final scream cuts short. We sit in silence, the scientist's last words echoing in our minds. "It's learning, adapting. We've lost control." That fear, the raw, unadulterated terror in his eyes, it lodges itself in my throat. We're not just dealing with a biological threat. We're up against an entity that's intelligent, that's learning, and worst of all, that's out of control. And the glimmers, an invisible vector. "All right, let's keep moving," Valerius announces, her voice echoing in the room, cutting through the heavy silence. There's a newfound resolve in her eyes, a grim determination that spreads, like a cold contagion, through us. We leave the room behind as we delve deeper into the labyrinth of sterile corridors. I can't shake off an unsettling feeling. The facility is deathly silent, the atmosphere heavy with dread. It's as though the facility itself is holding its breath. As we navigate through the frozen hallways, something begins to gnaw at the edge of my consciousness. One of the guard operatives, a young recruit named Jerk, seems slightly off. He'd been his usual jovial self earlier, cracking jokes. But now his laughter is absent, his gaze distant, his movements unnaturally deliberate. He keeps running a hand through his hair, his fingers brushing against his temple, almost as if he's trying to dislodge something. "Hey, Jerk," I call out, watching him closely. "You all right?" He glances back at me, offering a weak, almost vacant smile. "Yeah, just tired, Thorn," he says, his voice flat, devoid of its usual warmth. His words do little to alleviate my concern. It's not just fatigue, there's something else. His eyes lack their usual spark, his cheerfulness replaced with an uncharacteristic quietude. I try to shake off my worries, convincing myself that it's the stress of the mission and the disturbing revelations about the chimera that are getting to him. As we press further into the facility, the atmosphere grows colder, the tension thicker. The team that was once a cohesive unit now seems fractured, everyone moving with a heightened sense of caution. We've been exploring the rooms and navigating through this facility for what feels like an eternity, and I can't help but notice that, gradually, some of the members of our team have grown distant. Their eyes seem hollow. There's a peculiar stillness in their movements, an unnatural precision that sends a shiver down my spine. It's subtle, but it's there. The glimmers, the concept claws at the back of my mind. Is it paranoia? Or am I seeing them? I motion for Valerius to follow me, stepping away from the group under the guise of checking our location on a facility map we'd found earlier. When we're far enough away, I lower my voice and turn to her. "Commander," I start, struggling to keep my voice steady. "I think we may have a problem." She raises her brows in silent inquiry, waiting for me to continue. "The others," I say, glancing over at the rest of the team, who are gathered around the map we'd left behind as a decoy. I think they're changing." A flicker of concern crosses her face and she turns to look at the team. "Changing? What do you mean, Thorn?" I pause, swallowing hard. "I think they're infected, the glimmers. I think it's already among us." Her eyes widen in alarm and she quickly looks back at me, her face pale. "Infected," she says, a note of shock in her voice. I nod. "Look at them, Commander, Jerk, even Rook. They're not acting like themselves. They're quieter, less animated. It's like they're not really here. And Aris, he's too quiet. He's usually so focused." Valerius watches our team for a long moment, her expression unreadable, before speaking. "We can't be sure, Thorn. They're under immense stress. We all are." "I know," I reply, "but we can't ignore the possibility. The chimera is intelligent, manipulative. It could be using them to get to us. The log said it could replicate consciousness." She exhales slowly, worry etched on her face. "All right," she finally says. "We keep a close eye on them, but we don't act. Not until we're absolutely sure. And Thorn," I look at her, "we keep this between us. The last thing we need is panic within our ranks." Nodding, I agree. "Yeah, you're right. Let's just hope I'm wrong. It doesn't take long for Valerius to start seeing what I had pointed out. Once the seed of doubt is planted, it becomes impossible to ignore the signs. The changes are subtle, insidious, but they are there, and the more we watch, the more apparent they become. It's in the way Aris stares at the medical equipment in his hands, as if it's a foreign object, or how Rook's usual banter has evaporated, replaced by a brooding silence. Even Valerius herself seems to be fighting an invisible battle, her movements a fraction slower, her eyes a shade too wide. But the final, undeniable proof is Jerk. He's always been quiet, but now he's nearly silent, his replies coming as monosyllabic grunts if he replies at all. When he does speak, his voice is devoid of any life, his words empty, almost robotic. And then I catch him staring at me. His eyes are flat, almost lifeless, the usual spark long extinguished, replaced by a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer, a glimmer. It's there just barely in the periphery of my vision, but I see it. And it is terrifying we're standing a little apart from the group, watching them, when I feel Valerius tense beside me. Following her gaze, I see what's caught her attention. Jerk, he's not just staring at us now, he's studying us, an unsettling focus in his eyes. He takes a step, then another, slowly closing the distance. With a sinking feeling, I turn to Valerius, meeting her alarmed gaze. You see it now, don't you? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. She nods, her face pale in the dim light of the corridor. Yes, she admits, her voice tight with suppressed fear. I do. And with that affirmation, our mission gains a new, terrifying layer. It's not just about fighting a monster anymore. Now we're fighting our own. And as we look back at our team, the people we trusted with our lives, it's with the understanding that they're not just our friends now. They're potential threats. They're the Glimmerborn. Thorn, Valerius says to me, her voice cutting through the rising fear. We need to contact Command Nexus. They need to know what we're dealing with, the scale of it. I nod. I'm on it. As I connect to Command Nexus, my hands shake slightly. We were prepared for danger, trained for it, but the Chimera, an intelligent, manipulative entity that's already among us, turning our comrades against us, it's beyond anything we could have imagined. The line crackles and a voice comes through, cold and authoritative. This is Command Nexus. Do you read? I swallow hard, gripping the radio tighter. This is Thorn. We've made a disturbing discovery. I relay our findings, my words a torrent of controlled urgency. The Chimera's nature, the glimmers, the infection of our team, Jerk's vacant eyes. The response is as immediate as it is grim. Understood, Thorn, the voice states, devoid of emotion. Directive, exterminate the Chimera, whatever it takes. The facility is compromised. Prioritize data retrieval. No survivors if containment fails. Then the line goes dead. The command from Command Nexus resonates in the air, a harsh echo bouncing off the walls of the cold facility. I glance at Valerius, her face hardened and stoic, eyes glossed with a mix of grim determination and fear. The icy composure we're trained to maintain as Valiant Guard operatives seems to crack, revealing a deep, terrifying uncertainty. Extermination, she murmurs, her gaze lost somewhere in the bleak concrete walls. It's not a question, not really, just a repetition, an attempt to grasp the enormity of our task. I release a shaky breath, my hands still clutching the cold, metallic radio. It's us or them now, I manage to say, my voice barely above a whisper. Valerius nods, silent, as she clenches her jaw. Her gloved fingers tighten around her weapon. So it seems, she finally responds, her voice colder than the Alaskan air surrounding us. In her eyes I see the same dread I feel clawing at my insides, but also a spark of fierce determination. We're Valiant Guard. We don't buckle under pressure. We don't falter. Whatever the cost, whatever the odds, we fight. And that's precisely what we're going to do. As we venture deeper into the facility, the air thick with tension, we stumble upon another room. It's a makeshift lab, littered with hastily scrawled reports, scattered vials, and the frost-tinged echo of desperate panic. I pick up a file, the words Counteragent, Project Phoenix scrolled across the cover. It's a glimmer of fragile hope in the bleak abyss. As my fingers trace the words of the document, my voice fills the chilly silence. According to this, they were working on a counteragent, derived from a sample chimera organism. The report details how a team of scientists was able to isolate a piece of the chimera's DNA structure. They discovered a unique weakness, an Achilles heel that could potentially disrupt its control over hosts. My eyes scanned the technical jargon, piecing together the fragments. From this revelation, they synthesized a counteragent, codenamed Phoenix. It's designed to attach to the chimera cells, disrupt their manipulation capabilities, and eventually cause them to self-destruct. I explain, my eyes flickering to Valerius, the gravity of our situation mirrored in her gaze. The counteragent operates on two levels. First, it's designed to break the chimera's control over the host, and second, it triggers an internal reaction within the chimera itself, causing it to self-destruct. My gaze snaps back to the document. If we can find this counteragent and administer it, we might have a chance at eliminating the chimera, possibly even saving our team. I pause, dread washing over me as I read the next section. But there's a catch, I add, my heart sinking. The file reveals that the counteragent was still in its experimental phase when the facility went dark. The scientists had planned to test it, but they never got the chance. It's untested. So it's a gamble, Valerius murmurs, her gaze dark, a grim understanding dawning in her eyes. A gamble indeed, I confirm. One that could save us, or lead us to the same fate as the scientists who never got to see their experiment through. There's a shift in the room then, a palpable tension that seems to move through the very air. A low, guttural growl rumbles from one of our team, a man whose usual soft-spoken nature is replaced by something inhuman, something fundamentally wrong. It's Jerk. His eyes, vacant and flat, now gleam with a faint, unsettling flicker. The glimmer is more pronounced now. The infected, under Chimera's influence, are showing their true colors. Our discovery of a potential weapon against them is a threat to the Chimera, and it doesn't take it lightly. The Glimmerborn react almost instantaneously, their bodies stiffening, eyes flickering with a chilling mix of aggression and fear. They move to attack, their actions no longer their own. The Chimera within them manipulates their movements, turning them into weapons against us. The quiet tension in the room explodes into chaos as the Glimmerborn surge forward. I see Jerk, a man I shared simple jokes with, now a puppet on the Chimera's strings, bearing down on me. His eyes, once full of life, are now vacant, filled with an alien hostility. I barely manage to sidestep his lunge. The rush of cold air as he passes, chilling me to the bone. Valerius is fending off two others, her movements fluid and focused, but her face betraying the pain of fighting her own people. Rook grapples with a Glimmerborn guard, his usual banter replaced by pained grunts as he tries to disarm his opponent without hurting him. Aris, surprisingly, is holding his own, using the medical equipment he's always carried as improvised weapons, a scalpel glinting dangerously in his hand. "We need to get to the lab," Valerius yells over the melee, her gaze meeting mine. "The basement, Thorn. The main containment lab." Nodding, I make a break for the door, and Rook, ever the protector, covers me, laying down suppressing fire. The deafening sound of gunfire echoes through the hallway as we launch ourselves into the fight. Rook leads, his rifle sweeping left and right as he advances, while Valerius takes the rear, covering our backs with precise bursts of fire. I'm in the middle, my heart hammering against my chest, the reality of our situation becoming painfully clear as I witness the Glimmerborn fighting with inhuman strength. They don't feel pain. They don't tire. They just come. A Glimmerborn guard appears from an intersecting corridor, charging towards Rook. Quick as a flash, Rook sidesteps and strikes him with the butt of his rifle, knocking him down, but another one appears, this time targeting Valerius. She's faster, dropping to a knee and unloading her weapon, forcing him back with a spray of rounds. I keep moving, gun at the ready. Turning a corner, I nearly collide with a hulking Glimmerborn. There's no time to think, no time to feel pity. I fire, aiming for the legs. He goes down, but not before landing a savage punch that sends me sprawling on the cold, hard floor. The world spins as I scramble to my feet, the metallic taste of blood in my mouth. My side throbs. Valerius and Rook are still pushing forward, leaving the fallen behind. The downed Glimmerborn reaches out, his eyes wide and pleading, a faint shimmer of the glimmer obscuring their true expression. The human part of him, a mere sliver of his former self, is still trapped within his own body. It's a chilling sight. "Stay down," I warn him, my voice hoarse, before stumbling forward to catch up with the others. Rook's rifle echoes in the distance, punctuated by the sharp crack of Valerius's pistol. I force my legs to move faster, my breath coming out in ragged white puffs in the freezing air. My side throbs with each agonizing step. As I round another corner, I skid to a halt. The hallway ends abruptly, replaced by a steep, utilitarian staircase leading down into impenetrable darkness. The basement. The heavy, reinforced door at the top of the stairs is just closing. Valerius and Rook are already through with one last burst of adrenaline. I sprint for the door, leaving the chilling snarls and unnatural movements of the Glimmerborn behind me. I leap, catching the edge of the thick metal door just in time. The sharp metal cuts into my palm, but I grit my teeth, pulling myself through. The door slams shut behind me with a deafening thud, silencing the chaos of the upper levels. I'm greeted by an eerie quiet, the air heavy with the metallic tang of chemicals and something else, something faintly organic and alien. I shudder, forcing myself to my feet. "We're here," I pant, "the basement." Valerius and Rook are waiting for me, their faces grim, their weapons at the ready. There's a nod of acknowledgement, but no words. We don't need them. We know what has to be done. Gritting my teeth against the searing pain in my side, I ready my weapon. The descent is steep, each step echoing ominously in the oppressive darkness. The chill of the air seems to deepen, seeping through our insulated gear. The basement is a sprawling maze of labs and storage units, shrouded in deeper shadows and an unsettling silence. Only the occasional low hum of still-functioning equipment breaks the quiet. We move cautiously, every sense alert to every sound, every movement. The echo of our own footsteps seems loud and disorienting. The sense of dread is much stronger down here, a palpable presence. "Stay sharp," Valerius's voice breaks the silence, a mere whisper in the dark. "Remember, we don't know what else is down here. The logs mention deeper containment." We reach the first lab, its heavy door half open, the room within dimly lit by emergency lights. I peek in, my heart in my throat. A quick scan reveals nothing more than abandoned equipment and half-finished experiments. No sign of the Chimera, no sign of the counteragent. "Clear," I murmur, pulling back. Valerius nods, gesturing for us to continue down the hallway. We make our way from room to room, finding nothing but remnants of the horror that unfolded here. That's when we hear it. A low, vibrating growl resonating through the silent basement, making the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It's not human. It's deep, primal, yet overlaid with something unnatural. I glance at Valerius and Rook, their faces mirroring my own fear and grim determination. "The last lab is just ahead," Valerius states quietly, gesturing to a massive, reinforced door at the end of the corridor. The growl seems to emanate directly from there. Guns at the ready, we approach the door. The growl grows louder, more distinct, turning into a deep, pulsating hum that vibrates through the very concrete floor. It's unlike anything we've heard before, a living sound that seems to press in on my mind. As Valerius reaches out to open the door, I grip my weapon tighter, bracing for the unknown. Then the door swings open, sliding with a heavy hiss. As we step into the lab, the hum intensifies, vibrating through the air and through us, resonating deep within my bones. The room is a stark contrast to the rest of the facility. It's bright, blindingly so, with rows of gleaming instruments and machinery humming away. In the center, a large cylindrical tank, impossibly huge, filled with a glowing, pulsating mass. The source of the hum demands our attention. It's unlike anything we've seen before, swirling colors shifting within the mass, a terrifying, beautiful spectacle. I feel a chill run down my spine, independent of the cold. This is the chimera, I whisper, a primal certainty. It has to be. Rows of computers line one wall, screens flashing with data. I notice one terminal showing a complex chemical structure. Beside it is a printed note. Project Phoenix Counteragent. Finalized synthesis formula. What the hell? Rook breathes out, his gaze locked onto the contained chimera. It's massive. There are no signs of the counteragent in the main room. A secondary chamber, however, catches my eye. Through its thick glass walls, I can make out rows of refrigerated storage units. The counteragent, if it exists, would be there. Valerius, I point towards the chamber. The counteragent should be in there. She follows my gaze, nodding briefly. Rook, Thorn on me. Let's get what we came for. Our footsteps echo in the room as we move toward the chamber. The chimera's pulsing growl seems to grow louder, matching the pounding in my chest. But as we reach the chamber door, a loud crash comes from behind us. We whip around just in time to see the main entrance to the lab ceiling shut, a thick metal door sliding into place with a resounding thud. It's trapped us in here, Valerius whispers, her face paling. Our gaze shifts back to the chimera. Its pulsing grows erratic, faster, the hum rising in pitch. The room fills with an unseen tension, a sense of imminent danger. The lights flicker, a low guttural snarl fills the air, and in the flickering shadows of the lab, we realize we are not alone. The chimera has sensed our intentions. It has its hosts ready for a fight. Our eyes lock onto the shadowy figures emerging from the room's darker corners. The Glimmerborn Marines move with a chilling synchrony, their eyes vacant, their movements not their own. Back to back, Valerius shouts, and we move swiftly, forming a tight circle, guns trained on the encroaching threat. Rook is the first to fire, his rounds finding their target with practiced precision. A Glimmerborn Marine staggers back but doesn't go down. The chimera inside him is controlling its host's every move, using the Marine's training against us, turning his body into a weapon. I open fire, the recoil of the gun jolting my arm, but the Glimmerborn keep coming, their faces devoid of pain or fear. They're no longer our comrades. They're the chimera's puppets. Valerius is at my side, her gun spitting fire. We stand our ground, the crack of gunfire and the grunts of effort the only sounds over the rising hum of the chimera. With a loud beep, the chamber door behind us hisses open. I dart a glance backward to see rows of refrigerated units, just as the document described. Cover me, I shout, darting towards the chamber. I weave between the storage units, my eyes scanning frantically for any label or sign of the counteragent. My heart pounds in my chest, the sounds of the ongoing fight echoing around me. I can hear the strained grunts of Valerius and Rook, the sporadic gunfire and the unsettling growl of the chimera, now a chorus of guttural sounds. And then I see it. A small vial, gleaming faintly under the emergency lights, marked with a biohazard symbol and the words Project Phoenix Counteragent. I reach for it, my hand shaking, but before I can grab it, a powerful force slams into me, sending me sprawling to the ground. A Glimmerborn Marine looms over me, his eyes empty, the glimmer of violent flicker behind them, his movements controlled by the chimera within him. But I don't have time to fight him off. I need to get that counteragent. As the Marine lunges, I roll to the side, the cold metal floor biting into my skin. My fingers find the vial, and with a swift, desperate movement, I plunge it into the Marine's thigh. Nothing happens. He stumbles back, the rage in his eyes unextinguished. The counteragent, our only hope, fails to elicit any change. The gamble didn't pay off. Despair tugs at my heart, a cold, heavy weight, but there's no time for it. As the Marine lunges again, a guttural roar escaping his lips, I dodge. In a swift, practiced motion, I land a powerful punch to his jaw, followed by a kick that knocks him off his feet. Knowing there's nothing I can do to help him now, knowing he's gone, I put 2 rounds into his chest. His body goes limp, fighting off the wave of nausea and despair. I pocket the ineffective counteragent, pushing myself off the cold floor. I take one final, haunted look at the downed Marine before I bolt from the chamber, rushing back into the fight. It didn't work. I shout over the chaos, my voice raw, breaking. Valerius and Rook turn to me, their faces a mirror of my own shock and disbelief. But the pause is fleeting. The Glimmerborn Marines recover quickly, pressing their attack with renewed vigor, seemingly driven by the Chimera's desperate instinct for survival. The realization is a chilling one. Without the counteragent, our options are dangerous, limited. We can't risk killing our infected comrades, but we can't let the Chimera spread either. With a grim nod, Valerius takes charge. We can't let them leave this facility. We need to contain them. Buy ourselves some time to figure out another plan. A plan. Yes, we need a plan, but the ideas evade me, lost in the sea of chaos and the adrenaline pumping through my veins. We fight back, but it's not just about shooting now. We aim to incapacitate, to delay, to push them back. But each bullet fired feels like a betrayal. The firefight continues, each passing moment a twisted dance of survival and desperation. Valerius, Rook, and I continue to hold our ground, our bodies moving in a practiced rhythm born from countless drills and battles. Rook, Valerius, I shout over the gunfire, pointing towards the heavy metal door we had entered through earlier. Cover me, I'm going to try to lock them in here. They nod, their focus unwavering as they lay down a barrage of suppressing fire. Using this as my window, I make a break for the door. I feel the Glimmerborn staring at me, their bodies moving with an eerie synchronization as they try to intercept me. The door seems miles away, but with a final burst of adrenaline, I make it. My hands scramble against the cool metal, searching for the release mechanism. Just as the Glimmerborn are closing in, their guttural snarls growing louder, my fingers find the latch. With a grunt, I throw my weight against it, and the heavy door gives way, sliding slightly. Move, I yell, ducking through the doorway. Valerius and Rook follow close behind, their weapons continuing to fire until the last possible moment. The door slams shut behind us, the resounding bang echoing throughout the lab, signifying a temporary relief. But we all know this fight isn't over. It has just changed arenas. As we reach the top of the basement stairs, the heavy metal door creaks open to a hellish sight. A gauntlet of Glimmerborn Marines blocks our path, filling the corridor. The hallway lights flicker above, casting an eerie, strobe-like glow on the scene. My pulse quickens, thumping in my ears as I raise my weapon. Valerius takes position beside me, her training and instincts taking over. Beside her, Rook grits his teeth, his expression grim. The first Glimmerborn Marine lunges, and Rook meets him head-on, his fist connecting with a sickening thud. The Marine stumbles back, but more take his place, their bodies moving in chilling unison, their eyes glowing with the faint, terrifying flicker of the glimmer. Valerius's gun comes to life next to me, each shot precise and deadly. The corridor echoes with gunfire. A Glimmerborn lunges at Valerius, but she sidesteps, spinning on her heel and delivering a crushing blow to his midsection with the butt of her rifle. I join the fight, each shot from my gun pushing the Glimmerborn back, but for each one that falls, another steps up. The sheer number of them is overwhelming. Suddenly, Rook shouts, his voice ringing clear over the roar of gunfire. Geo, his gaze meets mine, a spark of something fiery and fierce, yet tinged with a deep sadness burning in his eyes. He shoves Valerius and me forward with surprising force. Rook, no. We can fight them together, I shout, trying to pull him back, but he cuts me off, diving back into the swirling mass of Glimmerborn. There's no time. His voice is a mix of urgency and fierce determination. He unleashes a volley of rounds, creating a small opening. Get out of here, both of you. This is my fight now. With a last horrified look at Rook, Valerius grabs my arm, and together we break through the remaining line of Glimmerborn. As we race towards the exit, the echoing sound of Rook's desperate, solitary fight follows us. A fading, terrible symphony. The moment we burst through the final doors of the facility, The harsh, white light of the outside world is almost blinding after the gloom within. Valerius and I stagger a few steps before we collapse, our backs against the cold exterior of the facility, gasping for air. The ragged sound of our breath is the only thing filling the silence of the desolate landscape. "We need to call Command Nexus," Valerius gasps, her voice hoarse, ragged. She's looking at the entrance, her face pale under the grime and sweat, haunted by what we've left behind. I nod, pulling out our communication device with trembling hands. "Command Nexus, this is Thorn," I say, my voice raw, broken. There's a brief moment of static silence before the response crackles back. "Thorn, this is Command Nexus. Do you read? Report." "We've made it out of the facility," I tell them, leaning heavily against the cold concrete of the structure. Valerius and I are the only two survivors. The response from Command Nexus is immediate, laced with a chilling lack of emotion. "Understood, Thorn, casualties confirmed." A silence hangs in the air for a beat. Then Command Nexus's voice cuts through again, colder, more precise. "Thorn, were you able to retrieve any data from the facility?" Valerius glances at me, her gaze heavy but steady. "I'd managed to save some critical data, downloaded onto a secure chip now tucked safely into my utility pocket." "Affirmative, Command Nexus," I reply. "We were able to secure a substantial amount of data regarding Project Chimera and the counteragent research." "Copy that," Command Nexus's voice responds. There's a pause, a moment of hesitation that has my heart pounding in my chest, a sense of something fundamentally off. "We're sending an extraction team to your coordinates, Thorn. Hold tight." "And Thorn," the voice adds, a note of grim, unyielding determination in its tone, "we're sending a pair of stealth jets to level that facility. Complete annihilation. We can't risk the Chimera getting out. The data you've secured is our best shot at understanding and defeating this thing." A chill runs down my spine at the command. We'd walked those halls, fought against our own in those rooms, and now it was going to be wiped off the map as if it had never existed. "Understood, Command Nexus," I reply, looking over at Valerius. The distant sound of approaching choppers fills the air, a faint but growing thrum that signals our deliverance. After what feels like an eternity of waiting, Valerius is by my side, her eyes reflecting the pale moonlight. She's silent, lost in her own world of thought, of horror. We're both survivors, yet the cost of survival weighs heavily upon us, a crushing burden of what we've seen, what we've done. The extraction team descends with military precision, their choppers' powerful searchlights cutting through the darkness, bathing us in a blinding white glare. We're quickly ushered on board, the cold metal ramp clanking shut behind us. As we ascend, I risk a glance back at the facility. From up here it looks so harmless, so inert, its dark secrets hidden beneath its cold, brutal exterior. Soon, the facility is swallowed by the vast expanse of the Alaskan wilderness stretching out below us. But I can't forget. I can't let go of the memory of what happened, the vacant faces of the Glimmerborn, the terrifying flicker in their eyes, the desperate, knowing look in Rook's eyes in his final moments. They're all etched into my mind, a permanent scar. The sound of the jets passing overhead, a distant, earth-shattering roar, marks the end of our ordeal. The fiery destruction of the facility below, a silent, violent explosion of orange against the black landscape, erases the physical remnant of our nightmare. We're safe. It's finally over. As the chopper climbs higher, the rumble of its rotors vibrating through my bones, I look down at my hands. They're shaking, still raw from the fight, but I notice something else. A faint, almost imperceptible shimmer. A tiny flicker of light like disturbed air, dancing around my fingertips, just barely visible in the dim cabin light. I dismiss it as a trick of the light, fatigue. Then Valerius, who's been quiet beside me, turns. Her eyes, still wide with shock, meet mine. She opens her mouth and her breath catches, her gaze dropping to my hands. There's a dawning horror in her expression, a look of pure, unadulterated terror. Her lips move, forming words, but no sound comes out. Her eyes dart from my hands up to my face, then back to my hands, A desperate plea in their depth. I look down again. The shimmering is still there, more pronounced now. It's a glimmer, and it's not just on my hands. I can feel it. A faint, almost imperceptible thrum just behind my eyes, a subtle hum at the back of my skull. It's the hum of the chimera. It's in me. It was in me all along, the whole time. The facility, the fight, the escape. It wasn't to contain the chimera, it was to contain me. And the data I secured, it wasn't just data. It was the chimera. It was me. Valerius reaches out, her hand trembling but stops short. Her eyes are wide, desperate, pleading. I see the question in them. Are you still you? The hum in my head grows louder, a symphony of 1,000 unseen voices. The flicker on my skin intensifies, and I can almost hear a faint, triumphant whisper in the back of my mind. We have emerged. The chopper flies on, a tiny speck against the vast, indifferent sky, carrying its precious cargo. I am a survivor, but what truly survived? And what have I become? Did Elias truly escape, or was his freedom merely another stage of the experiment? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.